Welcome to Ivalo and Harry's talk about spirit. The letter S in this book by Richard Mayer 3D book called Esse, the essence of Sydney Banks. And within that, S for us is spirit. And I've asked Ivalo to join me because in my mind, what we have connected is Greenland Inuit, Canadian Harry, one. That is spirit. Spirit brought us together. We have really enjoyed and appreciated our relationship, which, as we were talking, was natural. It just has evolved. No form, no structure, no money, no desire to point it in a certain direction, but a desire to share love and spirit together. And we've been enriched from that experience. We've been enriched because we both needed each other. We were talking about that a little bit, how we became together because we needed each other. In my journey with spirit, Sydney Banks said to me, don't call the three principles mind, thought, and consciousness in relationship to the indigenous world. He said, call it spirit, thought, and consciousness. And when Ivalo heard that, it touched her deep down, because that's her natural understanding. Spirit and its connection to nature, spirit and the connection to her inner wisdom, spirit and how it guides. To me, spirit is the most powerful force in the universe. It heals, it guides, it directs, and it comes with me included. A lot of people don't understand that when we're talking spirit, and this includes the indigenous people, they can feel the spirit, they can see the spirit, but do they feel it inside? That's, to me, is what spirit is, this alive feeling inside. And the more alive it is, the more we're connected to the oneness. And with that oneness, we are connected to total understanding of the ancient wisdom, the connection of how we are actually living in a spiritual world, not a physical world. The spiritual world is the world that Sid talked about. And when he was talking about mind, he was talking spirit. And a lot of people have trouble with that word because they like spiritual world, but spirit, what does that mean? That's a noun, that's a presence, that's an aliveness within the moment. So it's my little quick introduction, and Ivalo now is going to share from her mind what she sees, feels, touches her.
Before I came across this understanding, I later on realized I had more an intellectual understanding of spirituality. So it was wonderful to experience through my insights how my soul is formless, how my soul is eternal, and limitless. This soul is like getting to know a new person, to get in when my soul gets in touch with life, when my soul travels, and see new perspectives in life. For example, one of my insights I saw when I was when I came away or stepped away from the earth, I thought that I lost my fundamentals, but I heard a voice that says, um, it's not your fundaments.
Excuse me, what is that word again?
A fundament.
I don't know that word. Say it again.
It's where you're grounding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, fundamentals.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's not fundament is not actually an English word, but
Okay.
fundamentals.
Yes.
Okay.
When I was away from that form where I thought my identity was based on, when I came away, when I was going to lose that, from Earth, but something inside of me said that nervous that I can let that go. It's not who I am. It's not what I am. So, and then I just floated on air. And then when I experienced becoming nothing, when I experienced becoming nothing, I felt I was an invisible energy, and then suddenly I was like in a wave, or I was like in an ocean, and being one atom or one cell, I started to be part of life. It's like I started to be one with life, but I was still a nothing, a nothing. But when I get that connection with everything, I felt that I was part of everything. And then it hit me that that is who I am. My soul is part of this great spirit. My soul is part of this great spirit. And I felt that I became whole with everything. It is still unbelievable talking about it because my intellect cannot understand that. But I know deep in my heart it's the truth. It's the truth of who I am. I'm a very small spirit, a little small atom in a big universe, in a great spirit. And just knowing that helped me to let go of everything, because I don't need to be attached to something or anything, because I am one with that. I am one with one. I am whole in this oneness. Even though I only had this little glimpse, but I know it's the truth of who I am. And it's this understanding that is so helpful for me when I get stuck in my own ego, that I have to struggle or work hard. And when I remember that this soul, that we are all soul in this great spirit, that everything is energy, then I can relax again and to float with that, or be one with the waves, or when feeling the breeze from the wind, or one snowflake. So it's this feeling of feeling being connected. It's experiencing the moments when I am no form, but it's at the same time so delicious being in form and experiencing this formless, um, this never-ending eternity, feeling of knowing that everything is from nothing, and this nothingness is so great. And it I know that nothingness is difficult to explain, and nobody can explain what that is. But it's there I find this safety. It's there I find this, that in being in nothingness is something that I find safety and security. even though it has no form, but I know it's there, and it has my back. And that's the spirit for me. It's in the formless. And I know from my previous understanding with spirituality or with spirit has been so much more in my intellect or in the forms, and also experiencing after Sydney Banks' teachings, or when he points out that we are all spirits, we are one with spirit. It makes so sense, and it makes me whole that the spirit is a fact. It's a fact. So it's getting to know that I am a soul in a human body. Being a soul becomes so much easy to be alive, um, and knowing that uh, my soul cannot ever be intact, and uh, my soul cannot get destroyed, will always be intact. So um, and it's a shift in perspective or in understanding, when previously I have thought that my soul was damaged, because there's a saying that a soul can get damaged or destroyed from traumas or from previous life experiences. So it's something that I have only believed in my mind. And in the truth, my soul can never be destroyed. And seeing and experiencing my soul um, being so free and being so whole and fresh, and um, it 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 frees so much from letting go of that belief that the soul can get damaged, or that you have to work on your soul and get a psychologist to fix that. It became not it's it became not true anymore, because how can we fix a soul when the soul is can never be damaged? It's intact, it's whole, it's beautiful, and it has wisdom, and it's healthy, and it has health, and and it's the truth for me now. So talking about soul and talking about spirit is so, it cannot be get separated
Interconnected.
and interconnected.
I want to share an aspect of what Ivalo was talking about from my perspective and what I have experienced. I experienced the same silence that she did on Salt Spring Island, where my mind was going like this. And then there was the lake, and all of a sudden, everything went still, no thought. And Ivalo talked about a drop in the ocean. I experienced it slightly different. I experienced the whole ocean was in me. And at that moment, it was pure consciousness, or as Sid might say, divine thought. But in that moment, I did not see that. I saw pure consciousness. And everything that I experienced, I was here, but I wasn't here in the body. And I wasn't here mentally. I was here in a oneness where everything was pure, 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 sacred. It was just, I could hear every bird. I could hear every sound. I was here, but I was hearing the universality of everything inside of me. When that experience happened, to use it, then I knew life was spiritual, or spirit spoke through me. And then, as Ivalo and I talked about before, we are seeing this experience evolve. I call it like peeling an onion. And we are seeing more and more what that represented. So when you see Ivalo saying she's a drop in the ocean of the whole universe, of course, I experienced that. And then I saw the whole ocean inside of me. When she talks about health or soul being pure, in that moment, there was no disease. What Ivalo is sharing is who she is. All I'm sharing is who I am. And she sees it in her unique way, that when she shares it with everybody, it unites all of us together. Spirit is the golden thread that connects every human being together. I once saw that. There's a golden thread that connects Ivalo and I. We have seen that. We have loved that. But it's not, this doesn't connect Ivalo and I. It connects us to everybody in the universe. And it's time for people to see that. It's time for people to understand that we're all interconnected. So, spirit is the guide. And I was telling Ivalo what the spirit told me about the world. It says, you do your best, Harry, and we'll take care of the rest. And that's what Ivalo was feeling. She may not have used those words, but she's feeling that. She's just doing what spirit is guiding her. It gets to the point where the physical world almost disappears. Not always, but lots, where all of a sudden what people are talking about and how they're talking about it doesn't seem to have any relevance, because you're walking more in a ethereal, eternal, expansive feeling of letting go. What I love in other religions, they teach about detachment. Ivalo is less attached, that she is Inuit, and at the same time kisses it from the bottom of her heart. She's less attached as being a woman, but she kisses it with the bottom of her heart, or her profession. You just, spirit guides, because we are spirit. I don't know how to say it any different. Tell us, Ivalo, how it's expansive in your life.
When I started to have conversations with you, I remember listening to The Great Spirit, and I also felt this.
Excuse me, The Great Spirit by Sydney Banks.
Yes, The Great Spirit by Sydney Banks. While I was listening to it, I also dive into this feeling of being one drop of an ocean, but also an ocean in a drop. And it feels so wonderful. And also watching other people here in Greenland, that they also have this wisdom inside of them, that they are not bounded to be educated in an intellectual level, but they have this wisdom inside of them, with or without an educational background. And it changed the way I see people and the way I wanted to teach people, because it's became so easy for me to see through them, see through their forms, see through their physical
Well,
appearance,
how do you see that? Like, how do you experience that? That
because I
thing?
recognize I
Go.
recognize there are I recognize there are souls and they have this wisdom, and I'm not the one who's going to teach them anything because they had that wisdom inside of them. I just need to be somebody who helps them to unfold that. So I stopped being a teacher in that previous way I was, because it doesn't make sense anymore when I'm not the one who's going to teach, but we're going to teach each other, and we are more equal, and we have something to give. So I am more interested in meeting them as equal souls, having an access to this wisdom. And 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 it's so interesting because here in Greenland, if you gonna have an education, you're gonna have to learn Danish, and it's a big barrier for many people because they haven't really learned to speak or talk in Danish. So it's a requirement, and I see that it's necessary because it's the way the form has been formed. But I see another way that it's not a necessary thing anymore. I want to just meet them as they are, with or without different languages, but just as they are. So my curiosity to see and meet other kinds of people opened up. It opened up, and suddenly I wanted to get to know everybody in somehow, and just listening to them and being open-minded, and and my ego stopped trying to limit my my I didn't have to discriminate who to talk with or to meet with. Everybody just became interesting, and it's their soul, it's their wisdom, it's their inner beauty that it's became easier for me to look at.
You bring up a very powerful point. When you listen with spirit, you see the spirit brings their wisdom and what they have to show you. They have a point of view. I am stuck. I have an opinion about their point of view. And when that is removed, they show you, remember, they are part of who you are. You are connected to that. They show you something about what you're talking about that you have never even ventured. And I must admit, I love when that does it, because I go, oh, I was the block. One time, Ivalo, my mother and I had a fight. Well, it wasn't a fight. We were holidaying in a beautiful place, and my mother can be quite headstrong. And I know she would take control of things in a way that I didn't approve. So I interfered with that, and and the rest and the rest and the rest of the day was beautiful, except for one small thing. She left, and we didn't talk for 6 months. Then, after 6 months, I said, I was right, but actually, I must have been, this is not good. And I decided, from now on, when I see my mother, I'm never going to tell her again that she's wrong. I'm going to go. And I traveled many miles. Canada's a very big place. In the middle is where my home was. And my mother, I went to visit my mother. And I remember this moment, Ivalo, and it totally changed our relationship. Because up to that point, I was fighting with my mother. I had an opinion. And I didn't realize what it was restricting, of course, the spirit. And I remember this, we were playing this game of cards. And she said there were rules to this game we were playing. And she says, these are the rules, except they weren't the rules. They were her rules. And I said, no, Ma. And she's like this. And I said, oh, you're right. Sat down. My mother and I, after that, just poured love. That was all it required. Just poured love. For the first time, I realized the mother always loves their son unconditionally. She was just being told by me what was right and wrong, and that was not acceptable to her. And we just talked. We never once disagreed again. That positive feeling between us. And it was a life-changing event because, of course, doesn't the son want to love his mother unconditionally? And to hear her wisdom, oh, it was so beautiful, so soft. You don't get that motherly love everywhere you go. It just changed me totally. And it also showed me maybe my own opinion can park itself once in a while. Spirit. Spirit teaches. Love teaches. And opens us up. It's not just a game. It's real life. It's real. That's that alive feeling inside that I alluded to at the beginning. It's not just an image. It's a fact. That was a word Sid used a lot. Fact. People don't like that word. Well, prove it. Ivalo cannot prove her experience. It's a fact, though, to her. Nobody can take that experience away from her. Nobody could say it's wrong. Nobody, I can say to her, don't do that, Ivalo, with her experience. She goes, yeah, well, Harry, you are required. I accept what you say. I appreciate it. But I know what a fact is. I can feel it. That's spirit. The connection between Ivalo and the universe, which happens to include every animal, every rock, every human being, every sky, every ground, the air around her, spirit. Everything is spirit, created by as the great spirit. Still spirit. It's like Ivalo when she had her experience, a drop in the ocean. Still, that's the key. You are included in consciousness. We call it a soul. You are part of. Everybody is talking, those who are spiritual, God, indigenous, this great energy. But are you included in that? That's Sid's message. From with that, life, as Ivalo describes, gets quite, to use her word, delicious.
After those insights where I have seen beautiful things, slowly I saw when Sydney Banks talk about illusion, it gave sense to me that life is an illusion, suspended in time, space, and matter. It really is. And because I saw the illusion, it's wonderful to see differently instead of taking that so seriously all the time. And when Sydney Banks talks about universal joke, practical joke, and yes, it makes sense because life is a dream. Life is an illusion, and 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 it's nice to know, and it's nice to feel that and know it's the truth, and then it's easier for me to play. It's easier for me to be alive. It's easier to see the earth as a playground, of course respectfully for other people, and then not hurt them, but from coming from this space of knowing that we are one makes it easier for me to have this honor and respect and humility, and knowing that we are all equal, even with the flower, even with river, that I am one with that, and nobody is superior to anybody. So it's nice to experience life more with adventure, and and naturally I it became easier for me to be in the moment instead of being so up in my own head in the past or in the future. It became easier for me to be here and now. It's nothing that I practice. It just more and more um, became with that. I just more and more became with that, and and I love that because I didn't really have to work hard to be in the now or be here and now. It's nothing that I have to practice. It's just something that I am. Except when I'm not, when I get up in here and become lost again. And I love when I bounce back and come back to this now. And and it makes me happy to know that. It makes me less fearful to new experiences. So embracing both my humanness, but also this spirit that is surrounding me and spirit that is me. It's nice to know that it's a happy place. It's a beautiful place we live in, except when I get up here, and then I know that I am allowed to, but when I get back to this feeling of that life is a gift, and the spirit cannot die, it just changes forms, and I am not attached to specific form. And so this detachment is so nice to experience, and that I have a free will to be and out of that form. And
That's a
it's
good word. I want, excuse me for interrupting. All that Ivalo was talking about, I just call it intuitive.
mm,
I've never actually, I love 3P because it gives terminology to what I haven't, but I am not really a guy who likes a lot of jargon. And so for me, first of all, what Ivalo says, not jargon, it's coming from what she understands. But when she talks, it's just intuitive. But Ivalo brought up a word that has been very confusing for people to understand, and that is free will. And I hope you don't mind, Ivalo, but perhaps we could finish with a little discussion of how you see that, and I will talk a little bit, because I feel it has never really been addressed in our community of, and it is perhaps the most confusing thing because um, we know that it's not willpower. There's a difference between free will and willpower. And one is freeing and one is serious. Yeah, one is easy and one is determined. How can you describe how you feel, how you see free will?
Because we have been gifted this life, and we've been gifted to think, and that we are the thinkers, and it's up to us, whatever the thoughts that comes to us, if we want to take them seriously or not. And we have the freedom to think whatever we want to. We have freedom to be here on earth as whatever we want to be. And with this experience of being in life and of life, it's really up to us of how we want to be there. I don't know.
What I pick up is, after your experience,
Mhm.
free will is a spiritual expression, a natural spiritual expression. Before your experience, free will was an obstacle of confusion.
Mm.
But with it, free will is a spirit, the greatest spiritual gift we are given. It allows us the freedom to walk with spirit. It allows us the freedom to go where Ivalo's spirit wants to go. Now she is free. She still has to conform to the laws of nature, but yet she is free to fly wherever her thoughts take her and let them turn her dreams into reality. Where before, all there was restriction. The way I kind of see that is, you follow spirit, you're going to have yourself a life beyond your imagination, beyond whatever, even beyond your dreams, into connecting. And when Ivalo and I came together, that was an expression of free will. Because she could just as easily said, Harry, go away. Or I could have said, Ivalo, go away. But spirit, that's free will, brought us into a loving, sharing world. And we've been enriched by watching each other grow, because we've helped each other grow. She has really enriched my dream, and I've enriched her dream. And yet we're independent vessels going wherever the ship takes us. But together, I love this detached love. That's free will. You go where the ship takes you, where the water rolls, and you have a smile on your face. Not because you're supposed to smile. You have no choice. It's just too much fun, too beautiful. And we cannot get caught up in it, because the next moment is another now, another expression of that. Well, that was interesting. I'm sorry, I just wanted to ask that question from how you were seeing that perspective. Spirit, free will is the same thing. And I'm going to, in Esse, on the left-hand side, Richard had written, I think, therefore I am. And we have added something. I think, therefore I am alive with spirit. That is the theme of this particular thought. And I think Ivalo, this might be a good place to call it. So say, but before we do it, I like for you to say one last thing, and then I'm going to stop the recording. Whatever it is, even thank you is good enough.
Yes. I will say it in Greenlandic.
Oh, please, perfect, perfect.
Goeienavond.
Oh, great. And I will say it in Canadian. Eh?